Hey everybody. So if you read the title, I have MS. Surprise! Really not a surprise. It's not a fun thing to be excited about, but it's real. And I actually am taping this before I'm officially diagnosed. But I kind of want to keep a chronological diary and dialogue of kind of the events that came to be. It's weird because I feel like I'm recording like a TV show where they do, if you're hearing this, it's because I'm dead and it's a will reading or something of that effect. Not the case. I'm alive, very much alive. But point being, I just had, this is Sunday evening, we just put the twins down to bed. And I decided that I was thinking about making this video like all day because I wanted to get it off my chest, and I'm kind of coming to the realization that I have MS. Obviously, like I said, when I'm recording this, it's not been fully diagnosed. But when I started doing my own research, when I started putting the pieces together, I found a lot of people who quite literally have the diagnosis, but that's where the conversation starts, like, because you don't start this prior because you don't know, because a lot of the MS things that are symptoms, you actually, at least I did, and a lot of people do, you just chalk it up to being life, getting old, sleeping weird. So something is tingly in a weird spot or a weird way. And I did too. I even chalked it up to being because of an illness, which I'll get into that in a minute. Point being, I don't, all of the stories that I've seen, I don't really see that many people who take them, who could take you on the journey. One journey I did see scared the shit out of me. I will not lie. Thank you, Selma Blair, by the way, for exposing yourself to everyone in that capacity. If you don't know what I'm talking about, Selma Blair put out a documentary called Introducing Selma Blair, and it follows her shortly after her MS diagnosis and follows her through an experimental treatment that has to do with stem cells, and her prognosis and how she was at the end of that documentary was amazing and leaps and bounds better than she was in the beginning. And that is amazing to see, just because there is hope that, there could be a cure someday. And I feel like what she did is something that's kind of close to that quote unquote cure. But anyways, MS stands for multiple sclerosis. When you break that down, it means, in Latin or whatever, it means multiple lesions. And that's what you have. If you have MS, you have multiple lesions in your brain and on your spinal cord, where your nerve endings are losing their protective myelin sheath. So myelin is the protein that covers your nerves and protects them so that they can carry out the things that they're supposed to do. But when you have MS, your body triggers certain things in your body that say, this is something you should be attacking, not, hey, be cool, man, this is something that is helping you. I don't know if it's foreshadowing or foresight. I know I said really, 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 really horrible allergies. I'm sure you guys know about it if you know me, if you know anything about me. Even if you don't, I have horrible allergies. I'm allergic to everything. I missed tons of school when I was younger. I was always sick. Nobody could figure out what it was. I didn't go away to a 4-year college right after high school because I knew I needed to stick around and figure out what was going on with my health before I moved farther into adulthood. Because if I didn't get it figured out, I would have no adulthood. So I went to a community college, got my 2-year degree, yada yada. But while I did that, I went through allergy testing, allergy shots, sinus surgeries, all kinds of stuff. Eliminating foods from my diet, just a lot of things. And I felt tremendous. Absolutely tremendous after it. And things were going good. I finally felt like I had found out what was wrong and I had fixed myself. And that as long as I did this prescribed method of stuff that I had pretty much figured out for myself, then I would be okay. I lived through life. I was good. Things were going good. I always wanted to be in real estate since 17 or 18. As a kid, I wanted to be a veterinarian, but I was highly allergic to all of that stuff. And I held hope that I would be able to take allergy shots and be able to get past it. I was not able to. My immune system could not handle the allergy shots. I actually ended up borderline anaphylaxis twice. Just kind of giving a little brief history, just in case, I don't know, somebody sees this decades from now, or somebody who's doing MS research, or there's something I say that's like, whoa, whatever. I'm just kind of giving you a little quick review of my life story. So, where was I at? It's another thing with MS. Short-term memory is like non-existent. Where did I stop? So I said allergies, veterinarian. Okay, so anaphylactic shock with the shots, so I had to stop, and I was told to never take them again, and to this day I haven't taken them. I also loved real estate, loved everything about it. I wanted to be a realtor. And then I was like, I don't know why I think it can be that, because I got to be in strange people's houses all the day, and I can't even go see a friend who has a cat, rather less like show these random houses that have a cat. So I got to be in my late 20s, and I got really tired of not going after what I wanted. Like, I went after what I wanted, like in the safe zone, you know what I mean? But I was like, no, I feel like if I don't try real estate and at least give it all that I've got, then in my deathbed, I will be saying, what if? So I did, and I had a lot of success, a lot of support early on, and I thank each and every single one of you for it. But I would have attacks. Pretty much any time that I was working with a client and we ended up being in any kind of house that had any animal or anything that existed in it, I would be sick the next 2 to 4 days, depending on how much allergens, how clean, those places were. I would be sick because of it. And over the last 3 years, going on 4 that I've been doing real estate, I had been seeing a decline in my health. And the only thing that changed was that I was doing real estate. So, and I'm just mentioning that because, it's a piece to all the puzzle. And there's some speculation that MS is caused by environmental allergens or contaminants in your environment. And that could very well be mine. So, it sucks to think that I could have had myself in a safe place, and then I was so determined to do something that I was like, I'll put my health at risk, which is what I did essentially say. But anyways, point being, I'm not saying that real estate caused my MS. I'm not saying that any of that caused my MS. I'm just saying that that's kind of, if you're looking at like a history overview of where I am, where I came from, that's some of the background. So, late 2019, January 2020, around that area, I got really, really sick. And so did my husband, and so did my mother-in-law. So did literally everybody who was in our family. The twins even had something going on. We all got checked out. Everybody said that it was just some weird viral thing. I literally remember sitting in the doctor's office and asking her if I had COVID. And she said, it's not here yet. And I looked her in the eye and I said, I guarantee you, if it's being found in Wuhan or whatever, it's here. If it's being found somewhere in the United States, not United States, if it's being found somewhere in the globe. It is here. Hindsight, it was. But I mentioned that because obviously there was no vaccine, there was no nothing then. I've always had what I considered a compromised immune system because of my allergies and all my issues anyways. So it fit. All the pieces that were happening fit. And I had a lot of the symptoms that they would later, they being, CDC and Fauci and everybody who is, top level in the fight against COVID, would mention would cause a greater increased possibility of stroke and those kind of things. I had loss of taste, I had loss of smell, I had all of the stuff that is like a brain nerve function. I had those occur. And I used a year's worth of nebulizer solution because I have a nebulizer because of asthma. I used what typically is a year's worth of medicine for myself in a month because I was using it daily. I was using it like every 4 to 6 hours, like on that dot. And I think so many of us, especially in the United States, if you've ever been poor or you've ever been paycheck to paycheck, you legitimately sit there and ask yourself, is this bad enough for me to go to the emergency room or not? And I did that. And I think my first attack happened right about the same time COVID happened. And that's typical from my understanding with MS. Typically, you have a deep sorrow, a major loss, or a really bad illness that triggers it because your body is already weakened. It triggers it. I'm not saying COVID caused MS in me. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that I was probably predisposed to certain factors, and it was the perfect storm that caused it. Without going into detail, and I'm not here to debate it, I'm just telling you what I experienced and what I had happen. So anyways, I remember thinking I was going to die. I didn't tell anybody about it. I didn't tell my husband. I didn't tell my mom. I didn't tell anybody. Because again, I was raised with this mentality of you suck it up. You suck it up, and everybody's got problems. Nobody wants to hear about your problems. And if you didn't go to the emergency room and you didn't die, then apparently it wasn't that bad. But anyways, point being, sorry, this is some of my MS too. As we speak, I have kind of like a numb spot here, and I have kind of just a random tingling here. My back hurts. I've got a shin that's kind of tingly. It's just kind of part of it, right? You have random things that you have nerves that are firing off in weird ways because of this. So anyways, COVID happened, and I'm assuming what was my first MS flare. And not very long after that, we celebrated the twins' first birthday. Kept going on, kept trying to, get back to normal. And then Marshall lost his job during COVID. I mean, we just had a lot of stuff that happened during COVID, like everybody else. But I didn't feel right. And I continually felt worse and worse and worse. And I even got to the point where I thought I had something going on with my ears and my allergies and all of that. So long story short, I ended up seeing my ENT, and she was like, nothing's wrong. So I'm going to refer you to this neuro, because I think you need to talk to them, because the stuff that you're talking about isn't normal, and it's not ENT. It's not, they took a CAT scan of my sinuses, they did all that stuff. They were like, it's not it's not ENT related. So I ended up having my first ever consult with a neurosurgeon via Skype because we were in the middle of COVID, and he had me do essentially a field test, from home, where I had to do like certain measurements, certain things, certain exercises, and I would tell him about my history, and he asked me questions, and I told him what I had experienced or had going on throughout my life or whatnot. But he honestly was like, yeah, I'm just going to put in that you have migraines because you do have a history of migraines. And I did. I had a history of aura migraines, which are really intense migraines. They cause visual disturbances and are nerve-related types of migraines. So he was like, well, I'm a brain doctor. I like to look at brains. Never hurts to get a brain scan. So I get an MRI, and they call me almost immediately. And of course, whenever you have a doctor call you almost immediately, you're always like, well, that's probably not good. And he did. He said, like, we need to chat pretty soon. So I think we literally made an appointment for like the next day. And he was like, honestly, I was shocked by your reading because given what we talked about and what I knew of where you are and everything, I had no reason to think that we would see anything like this. And he went on to tell me that there was a decent sized lesion on my brain in the area that is usually related to MS. And he said that he wanted me to get another MRI done. This time we were going to do it with contrast. The contrast allows them to see if you have an open lesion, or if I'm understanding this right, which, if it's active and it's open, then the dye will show up. And the dye did not show up. So it was not an active or open lesion. It was an old lesion. And the area that it was in, he said that it can literally sometimes be because of an illness. It could be because you caught a flu at some point in your life, or you caught some kind of a sickness that you didn't realize you had, and that's where it settled in your brain. So since there was no other signs, no other anything, I convinced myself it was COVID, period. That was it. It's not MS. Probably DANDA, the 5 stages of grief: denial, acceptance, negotiation, depression, acceptance. I don't know where I am on that scale either, so don't ask. But that was probably definitely my first spot of denial. And of course I asked family members, did anybody have MS in our family that I wasn't aware of? And, no, nobody did. And again, it's not a genetic thing. It's not hereditary. It's not any of that. We don't know the true cause, but we know it's not any of those. So anyways, I pushed it off. I was like, okay, it was COVID. I mean, he even said it. It was an illness. And then probably about the same time that I got that diagnosis, I saw a report that came out of the UK that was showing a large amount of people that were being diagnosed with exactly what I had been diagnosed with, which was RIS or CIS. Different countries kind of use different terminologies, but essentially it was the same thing. You're showing lesions that are mimicking MS, but you have no symptoms of MS. And so, that's it. That's what I have, I mean, it's literally there's reports and studies of it regarding COVID. I'm not the only one. It's fine. I'm normal. I'm okay. I'll get through this. So I put it outside of my mind. I'm extremely tired all the time, but I have been since the twins were born, I feel like. So, I mean, I feel like it increased and it got worse after COVID. I definitely felt like I could sleep probably for weeks on a time and not feel rested. But I didn't chalk much up to it either, right? I was like, no one knows the long-term side effects of COVID. We probably won't for 20 years from now. We'll just be figuring out what the long-term effects are. But anyways, so I put it out of my mind, didn't even think about it, and they actually had me set up a 3-month scan at the same time that they told me about that. And he was telling me about how it's important, that we keep an eye on it, yada, yada, yada. And I'm like, I don't think you're supposed to get scans that often, right? Like, how can that be safe? And I had to show a house or take a kid somewhere or something, and I had a conflict. And so I had to cancel it, and I was like, yeah, I'll reschedule it, and I didn't. Because again, I believed I didn't have it. Then not very long after that time, it should have been my 3-month scan, I had some other stuff happening that was very weird. And that was probably, there was one specific thing. I can't pronounce it right. I barely even remember how to spell it right. But something like ermites or ermites. I don't know. It's weird. But anyways, it is something that is pretty much the red herring that you have MS. It's one of those kind of things that like has existed since the beginning of them finding this kind of out and finding patterns. And typically there are like a handful of other things that can cause it, but the most common is MS. And the only way I know how to describe it is literally if I put my chin to my chest, the base of my neck where my skull meets my spine, you would feel this weird like pulling, almost like the drumming of like a guitar string on your back. And it didn't really like hurt, but it was weird. And then it felt really pins and needly, and it went from the base of my neck all the way down to about midpoint of my spine. It didn't go all the way to like the end of my tailbone, but it did enough. So the first time that happened, I was like, okay, this is kind of weird. And then about that same time, I noticed some other stuff. I noticed feeling like I woke up several mornings and it felt like I'd slept weird on my hand. And I couldn't remember how I fell asleep that would have caused it. But it felt like from, my wrist up, my hands were just kind of tingly and almost numb feeling. I've always been klutzy. I've always been a klutz. But I felt like I was dropping things a lot more frequently, a lot more easy than I did before. So then it was about that time that I was really starting to think like, you know what? I don't know. Maybe I do have MS, or maybe there is something going on. Well, maybe it's not MS, maybe it's something else that's like mimicking MS, but that's definitely not right. And I got on YouTube and I looked at some stuff, and I think the first video that I just randomly found, the girl talked about that spinal cord drumming thing that I'd experienced. And I was like, well, shit. That's pretty much exactly how I would describe what I experienced. And it made me look at some more stuff. And then I got to the point where I was like, nope, too much scaring the crap out of me. And I don't even know if I have it. I don't even know. Just getting ahead of myself. At this time though, I had called and I knew that I had a new MRI set up, an MRI with contrast. And I was just kind of like waiting down the time, like for it to happen, which again was this last Friday. So today's Sunday, so 2-3-ish days, depending on how you count days. But it was about that time when I was literally, I'd watched some of that stuff on YouTube, and I checked out some other stuff, that I saw the advertisement for Selma Blair's documentary on Discovery Plus. And like, I remember I was sitting there and I was like, I'm probably gonna freak myself out. It's probably gonna be like somebody who is legitimately scared of ghosts and scared of spooky things watching a horror film. I'm gonna scare myself. And I did. I did scare myself. But it was needed, because it made me really stop and consider the realistic possibility that I have MS. So that brings us current. So what happened Friday? I got the scan. I got on the health portal. Well, first of all, actually, about 2 days before the scan, I called my doctor's office and I told him, I was like, the neurosurgeon, I was like, look, sorry. I was like, I've been having stuff happen. I've been having weird stuff that I can't explain. And I need to be seen sooner than when you guys have me scheduled to see the doctor next, which is still, as of this video, the soonest they can get me in, which is December 29th. And it is the middle of November. So you can imagine how not excited I am to wait that long. But anyways, I called them and I told them I've got stuff happening. I was like, I know my scan is in 2 days. I will be shocked if it doesn't show new lesions. I do think I have MS, and I want to get ahead of this before it gets worse. I don't want to wait until almost the new year to get started on this process fully. And okay, I'm sorry, we can't get you any sooner than that. So that's another, by the time I'm posting this, I probably have an answer to this solution, or to the solution to this problem. But at this moment, I do not. I got onto the health portal Saturday morning. I was like, they're not gonna have it there. No, they had it. The radiologist had read the scans, read the report, and had it in within a few hours of me having it done at the hospital, which was insane. But it did show new lesions. It showed, I don't have, it's on my phone literally, and this is what I'm using to record this. But it mentioned, if I understand correctly, 2 different sets of appearances of lesions. There was my prior lesion was not demonstrated. So I don't know what that means. I mean, that means it's not there, but I don't know why it's not there. Is it not there because that part of my brain magically healed itself? Or is it because that part of my brain literally just turned to mush? and now there's nothing. I don't know. I don't know how that works. I don't know how that is. But I'm hoping that when I hear from the doctor before December 29th, that he will explain that. But anyway, so it said that that prior lesion was no longer demonstrated, but that a new 10 millimeter lesion was found in the white matter area of the brain, as well as varying small lesions or something of that nature. Again, I don't know what that means. I do remember that when I had talked to the neurosurgeon or neurology guys prior, and he was going over the report with me initially and said that he thinks it's RIS, I remember him saying specifically that there wasn't any stuff in your gray or your white matter, and that's good. Those are some ones that you don't want to see lesions in. So obviously when I read that it's in my white matter, I was like, shit. So, like I said, if you are watching this, it is because I have been diagnosed officially. And I wanted to make this video before I got that diagnosis to, one, kind of establish where I am right now, where I am, the headspace that I'm in, just everything. From my understanding, from when I talked to the neurologist prior, I have, the next step would be a spinal tap. And they do a spinal tap in order to get the spinal fluid, because from that, doing science magic that people do, they can tell how many lesions are actually on my spinal cord, if any. So, and then the doctor did not tell me this. I read this online. The thing that I read roughly last night said that in order to receive a diagnosis of MS, you have to have 2 demonstrated MRIs with varying lesions, which, nailed it, and a spinal tap that also shows lesions. So my assumption would be, by the time I post this, I've had the spinal tap. It's come back with lesions, and I have been officially diagnosed MS. And you will see where I am at that point. So, all right. Thanks, guys. Bye.